Oh, man. Oh, man.
We spent approximately 3 months of research and development to get this.
He takes it hard and he like, onto the
Yeah,
steps,
he landed
dude.
on his head. They're like, Mark, go to the ground. They put me out and they're like, okay, roll over. And I'm like, wait, I'm stuck to the ground. Boom.
Oh, that's a hard slam.
So trick to that slam is.
Thanks to Vessi for sponsoring this video. Stick around to the end so you can find out more about Vessi's Black Friday sale.
Yo, good morning, happy Saturday. I'm on the couch, Nico's on the couch, so you know it's another episode of Stuntmen Reacts, and we have the amazing, legendary stunt performer, Mark Wagner. Yes.
A little shimmy, a little wave. I guess I'm a legendary professional, whatever words you just called me.
Right, yeah.
Been doing this for a while. Worked on a lot of Marvel movies, did a few Pirates of the Caribbean movies, did the first Spider-Man movie, grew up as a gymnast acrobat, and now I'm trying to just keep it going.
You are keeping it going, that's for sure.
We have a bunch of really great clips from Pirates of the Caribbean to Marvel to a whole bunch of surprises here, so let's just jump right in.
Surprises.
Do you think this wise, boy?
What did you work on in this film?
I was Orlando Bloom's stunt double for this film.
Oh, cool.
We spent a good amount of that time with the legendary Bob Anderson, who, if you look him up and you go back, he was a double for Darth Vader.
Oh, wow.
And so he came in with all of this sword knowledge. This guy didn't have any at that time. This guy learned in 6 weeks all of this sword fight skill, and Bob Anderson was the master. So what's really cool about this piece too is they actually hooked these swords up to cables so that when they touched, they would spark.
Oh, cool.
So I had these cables running down my leg, and Johnny had these cables running down his leg, and it would be like spark, 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 every one of those hits.
So I'm watching this, and I feel like I'm seeing the actors the whole time.
It is, for the most part. You know, our goal as stunt doubles, obviously, is to get the actors to do most of it, unless it's just so difficult or they're just struggling with something, then they'll throw us in and have us do it. A lot of times we'll do a master shot. We'll come in and just do the whole big shot, and then they'll plug in the actors to get their faces in it.
What have they done to your face to make you look like Orlando Bloom?
Just makeup and dirtied me up a little bit. I grew the facial hair to match. They trim it to match. They did put extensions in my hair. I have full extensions in my hair for like 6 months. This is where we really get into it.
There, that was you.
So most of the time, like when it's looking at Johnny Depp and we're seeing like over Orlando Bloom's shoulder and the sword fight is happening, is that usually you that's in those shots?
Yes, for all of this, it would be either over my shoulder to Johnny or over Tony Angelotti's shoulder to Orlando. There's a part here where he steps on this board and I misjudged how far away it was gonna be and it actually hit me in the face.
Oh, man.
My counterpart, Tony Angelotti, steps on the plank, hits me in the face. I fall to my butt, started bleeding, and he's like, oh my God, he's totally panicking. I'm like, it's fine, everything's fine. Oh God, it's not fine.
It's okay, it's just a, oh.
This was actually my favorite part when we were up in the rafters because we had these two planks. They look narrow, but they're probably about 10 or 12 inches wide. It looks kind of sketch, right?
Mm-hmm. Are you guys just on the planks?
We're just
up
on
high?
the planks, no safety.
Oh,
but
wow.
I mean, there are walls next to us, so if I lost my balance, I could just touch the wall or touch the beam and not fall. That was like when I was a kid, you do the cherry drop off of the bars at school. I just did that, and they're like, we love it! And I was like, are you kidding me? That's like a childhood move.
So we're in pirate vibe. So we're gonna go to Pirates of the Caribbean 2. Yes, we're in Pirates of the Caribbean 2, and this is one of my favorite fight scenes actually. It's on the big wheel, and it's a three-way fight. So you were Orlando Bloom's double again for this?
Yes.
Tony Angelotti was Jack Sparrow.
Thomas DuPont was our Jack Davenport double. And that's all real. We're really on top of this building.
Wires?
And that's about 12 to 14 inches wide, those things that we're standing on.
Did you fall at all?
I didn't.
No?
It's Mark Wagner.
I am human. Every foot placement was measured out. We knew right where we were stepping. And then Johnny comes in and it all changes.
Yeah, right.
We're like, oh shoot, we have to adapt to the master. He's here. He's gonna make us laugh. Yes, we had safety cables in case we fell, but if we fell, it was like a setup to get us. And it's perspective too, because camera's really low and that's up on a hill, so it looks a lot higher than it is. That being said, it's high. You would get hurt if you fell.
Right. Yeah.
But it looks a lot higher than it is.
I'm assuming you guys are using aircraft aluminum swords?
Yes, they're fairly lightweight. And we were constantly sanding them down because every little ting, 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 they get nicked. And then if that touches your skin, it's a cut. They are light and they are safe. They're not sharp, but when you're hitting them against other metal objects, they get sharp real quick. So we were constantly having to file them down. This shot where it turns is CG. All the rest of it is real. This right here is CG until it goes over him. And then all of this is real.
Wow.
We spent approximately 3 months of research and development to get this. We had 2 wheels, 2 different setups. One was on cables that was being pulled, and one was behind a truck so it could be kind of maneuvered a little easier.
Any safety wires or anything like that, or just don't screw up?
Yeah, when we're on top of the wheel, there's a high line that goes across the whole length of the wheel, and so we had a little bit of bungee in our rig, so it wasn't taking our weight, but if we misstepped, it could kind of pull us back on track. And then we are fighting up there, actual sword fights with actual swords. It's all real, but we only had 6 moves, and we were just looping 6 moves in different variations so that we can make it look like it was all something new. But it took our mind off of, okay, we have to focus on choreography, to focus on, hey, I don't want to fall off this 18-foot tall wheel that I'm running backwards on. That was another thing. I ran backwards the whole time. So I'm like trying to stay on the wheel. And then we get inside. So when we first started testing this, they had this sitting off of the ground on like a spinning, just in their special effects warehouse. And we're like, what can we do this? So this is kind of the stuff we started to work out very early on, was what we could do inside of it. And then they tie us in and start spinning it, start rolling it. So now we're just like, it's like a washing machine kind of, but then you're like, I hope I don't puke.
Right, I was gonna ask that, did anybody get sick?
I don't believe so, no. There was one day I got really overheated, but nobody ever really like threw up, motion sickness kind of thing.
You know, you hear about a stunt performer as a stunt double being brought onto multiple films or kind of being like paired with an actor and they stay with that actor. To what say does like an actor have? Like, is it Orlando Bloom being like, yo, I want Mark on Pirates of the Caribbean 2 because he was with me on 1? Or is that the producers that are making that call?
Sometimes an actor will request his double, sometimes it'll come from the producer, but for the most part, it comes from the stunt coordinator. I was fortunate to do 5 films with Orlando Bloom, and it was because I kind of knew the coordinators and they reached out to me, but he never really requested me. He did recently, but first time I'd worked with him was on the first Pirates. And honestly, he was a little skeptical because he's like, I should be doing all this stuff. And I'm like, hey bro, I'm just here to help, just here to make you look good. And then it was after that, we were working on Kingdom of Heaven, and he pulled me aside and said, hey, I got to see a rough cut of the movie. I go, how'd it look? He goes, I have to say thank you because you made me look really good. And I was like, oh, not what I was expecting to hear, but thanks. That's awesome.
That's really
awesome.
I
was expecting him to be like, oh, something, something, but he gave me a really nice compliment. And I said, hey, that's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do. So my parents were here this day. I got to bring my parents to set.
Wow,
my parents
that really
got
looked
to
like
watch this Stunts.
Tally ho.
So how much of this is you? It's you doing the big swing
As soon
here
as he
from the
takes
side?
off the feet, this is all me. Well, that's totally my face. All the feet, and then the slam. Boom, boom.
Oh, that's a hard slam.
So trick to that slam is there's an inch of insulite foam on that wall. And they had an artist paint that whole thing on top of foam and then put that foam onto the wall so that I could just face plant right into it. But if you look really closely, you can see my knee kind of makes it buckle a little bit. They moved the crane in so that it would stop right at the wall. And then I stood just holding on. I didn't have a harness on for this. I was just holding on. I had to slam and then drop.
How many times did you have to do that shot? Or were they like, the first one, they're like, it's good?
At least 3 or 4 times, because I remember I'd have to unhook, climb down, run around to the other building, climb back up, and on the way I'd pass my parents and they're like, good job, honey. When he saves MJ, a lot of that was all practical. Yeah, so this is all real swinging right here.
Wow.
They shot in Palos Verdes. There's an old marine world or one of those kind of things on the edge of a cliff. So they used the horizon as a blue screen.
Oh, cool.
And so we shot all of these big swings, not all of them, a lot of these big swings in that spot, and then they would just plug it into this plate shot in the backgrounds of New York.
What's something about swinging like Spider-Man that you wouldn't expect?
The G-forces.
Yeah.
The G-forces for sure at the bottom of the swing. Some of the swings we had a crane up at like 190 feet, so I would go from about 90 or 100 feet, just drop into a swing, and you get to the bottom of that swing there, can you pull upside down? I'm like, oh, that's really hard. So it's like all this core strength just to, mind you, I'm cabled in, I'm harnessed in, so I'm not gonna fall, but to pull a different position at the bottom of that swing is so difficult.
And like keeping your legs up, I imagine it's really hard. It's like, it's all, you just get stretched out by the G-forces. Were you sore afterwards?
A lot of the times, yeah. Well, I was sore because I'm in a spandex suit, so there's no room for padding underneath a harness. So even the padding that's built into harnesses, I was straps on skin. So I had gnarly calluses and bruises just from trying to hide these harnesses under spandex. This is a tension-based suit. So it only worked as a whole, meaning that the whole suit had to be on. You couldn't have half a suit. It wouldn't stretch or feel the same. And it had zippers in the back. So once you're in it, you're in it. But it had to be so specifically placed because if a hole was cut for a harness in the wrong spot, it would move a piece of the suit. And the suit was 3D printed as well as a muscle suit attached underneath. So the 3D printing gave it more definition than it actually had.
Something that I became very aware of is that the suit is definitely going through R&D while it's being shown to everybody in the movie, right? And the first costume is always kind of a prototype. And just to let everybody know, Mark has been multiple superheroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One of them is the amazing Ant-Man.
Oh, damn.
I threw this guy through the glass.
Yes.
Technically, he's on wires and I'm just faking throw him through the glass, but he got a big shard of glass in his
You
forehead.
see it.
There it
Yes,
is.
you can see the line, yep. And I felt like I did that to him. So I had all these feelings of, God, I'm so horrible. I can't believe I just did this to another human being, when technically I didn't really do it. I was just faking the motion and making it look like it threw him.
He takes it hard and he like onto the
Yeah,
steps
he landed
too.
on his head and the shard just went right into his forehead.
That's a one take kind of shot.
Yeah, they got it in one. It looks great.
It does. I've seen you in some of the craziest costumes with Ant-Man. How has the evolution gone with allowing you to perform better, more comfortability, more breathability, so on and so forth?
So the first Ant-Man suit, I remember like not being able to even raise my arms up to the height of my shoulder. It was so stiff.
Right.
We could run, and that's mostly what he does. There's a lot of running, so that was fine. But raising your arms up to do any kind of flipping movement or any of that was like. So then it became motion capture, or it became putting on the gray suit, doing it to get the movement, and then they would put the character on top of that.
How often was the suit breaking?
So they have this stuff called butyl.
Butyl?
Which I learned what butyl was. It's like a gluey, clay, sticky stuff. And each time a piece would break, they just, more butyl, put the butyl on and like tack it back together, and okay, let's go.
I'm assuming every couple shots, so like a piece would like.
It depends. If I was bumping into things or falling down or stuff, yes. But this one held up really well. It was a tank, this suit, which why it was so hard to move in.
When the costume's on completely, is that Paul Rudd in it very often, or do they almost always throw in a stunt person?
Honestly, if there's a helmet on, it's probably a stunt person.
For sure.
In Civil War, we had Paul.
3 days.
3 days.
We shot for 3
really?
months.
And he had a 4th day for ADR. Everything was helmet on, so it was all me. And I was the only Ant-Man double on that one, which I thought was actually really cool too, because Paul wasn't there for this. So it's me and 5 amazing Marvel characters and the actors.
And then it's all stuntmen and Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. It's like the opposite. It's all because of the faces. You can see their faces, you can't see their faces.
It's interesting how hyper efficient that is, where it's like, look, if you can't see their face, we're using one of the other people that plays the costume. It's like, we're only gonna have the actor who can see the face.
All right, Lang.
So this is a really cool shot because it's kind of Ant-Man's introduction into this sequence, and he gets to hand the shield to Cap. So it's actually kind of iconic for me too, because I used to play Spider-Man and now I'm playing Ant-Man, and I'm taking the shield from my old me and giving it to my new boss. I actually just thought about that.
That's really cool.
This is the best shot when we all come together.
Oh, this was so fun.
So this is the second rendition of the Ant-Man suit. The knees didn't flex. And they're like, hey, you gotta run. And I was like, guys, these knees don't bend. How am I supposed to even walk? So they're like, oh, it'll be fine. I go, okay. I run, I come right back, and both knees were split. And I was like, yeah, so about those knees I was telling you about.
Well, they're fine now.
But so the costume, the upper part of this was in two pieces. So the arms were separate from the costume, so I could actually raise my arms above my head in this costume. And that was very different from the first one. And then I run in here and get kicked in the nuts by Scarlett Johansson. Best day of my life.
Yes. Thank you, Scarlett Johansson.
So on the theme of Paul Rudd, you did another movie with Paul Rudd.
Why does it say 38 and not 40?
Because your mom wants to be 38. Let's not mention it again.
This is 40 was the first time that I had worked with him. Anybody who rides bikes is like, that's their biggest fear. Someone's not paying attention and they open their car door. Well, I had to do that.
No.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Mind you, I'm wearing shorts, short sleeve shirt, so no elbow pads, no knee pads. So as soon as I'm upside down, clips are already off. They blew the glass window. Timing was pretty perfect.
Right.
And then I go, kablam, right to my shoulder and hip.
You did that way more gracefully than I could have imagined.
The thing, all I was really thinking here was grab the front brake and tuck your head. As long as my head's in a safe position, like the rest of my body can flop around it. The door, if you notice it, it's open flat. So it is open farther than what a normal car door would open. They put a piece of kind of canvas that stretched a little bit, so it actually gave the door a little bit of flex. You see when I hit it, it flexes.
wow.
Yep.
That helped me a lot.
Right.
It takes a little bit of the impact, but the impact from the door I was less worried about than the impact from the ground.
I'm just really impressed by how you broke down this moment. It's like, okay, so you need to hit a car door, and you're like, how can I do this in a way that looks like a hard crash, not hiding anything on camera, it's right there, but at the same time there is control. And it's that plan of locking up the front brake so you're initiating that tuck you know, as you go into it.
And if I would have pulled the brake too soon, I wouldn't have even made it to the door. Maybe I would have gone over and my foot would have hit the door. So it's all that timing too. And you can see that where the tire is, it's kind of right before the door. And then I crank it and it lifts me right off. So they were watching this in slow motion, and you guys can probably see it now. They were questioning the timing of the glass blowing up. And they were thinking it was slightly off. Watch, it cracks right before my butt.
See, to me, it makes sense that it crack when your helmet hits it.
But you won't, no one knows that. No one will notice that. You'll think, oh my God, yes, the helmet, something hits it, but it cracks slightly before me, but you add the sound, you'll never know. You're watching it at regular speed, you'll never know. So I almost had to do it again, and I'm sitting there on the curb like this, like, please no, please no, please, you know. But they were happy with it, so.
Anybody order fried sauerkraut?
So I'm one of the guys in the center of the table with my back to Leo.
Okay.
So I don't get to see it coming other than the reaction of the people across from me. We had full hoods so that everything is fully covered, all skin is protected, and then we had a little straw to breathe out of. So right before we shoot, we pull the straw, we hold our breath. We're now holding our breath for the entire length of this time that we're on fire. And we have to actually hold our breath until they put us out, because the CO2 that comes in and puts the fire out, you can't breathe it. There's no oxygen. So you actually have to hold your breath for longer. So we're holding our breath approximately 30 seconds, maybe a minute at most for this sequence, and we did this 3 times. The first time, because Leo was a little bit nervous with the flamethrower, he was going really fast, so it didn't light underneath the table. So the second time he went too slow, and on that one he stopped on me and Travis, because our backs, and all I see is orange, and I'm like, what's happening, what's happening, what's happening? I'm getting really warm, and they're like, oh yeah, stop. You know, I could hear everybody yelling like, Mark, go to the ground. They put me out and they're like, okay, roll over. And I'm like, wait, I'm stuck to the ground. So my costume had melted and I was stuck to the ground and I couldn't roll over. I finally peeled and rolled over, and I just said to the guys, hey everybody, I'm really hot. Get everything off of me right now. And they pulled all my clothes off, minus my underwear, all my clothes off as fast as they could, and I had a little burn on my arm.
Oh, really?
A little, just like a little 2nd-degree blister. And I was like, yep, I felt that. They're like, are you okay to do it one more time? I'm like, yes, we're doing this again. We got to get this right. So the third time I put on another layer. So I actually had 3 layers on bottom, 3 layers on top, 3 layers on my hood, and I didn't feel a thing the third time. And you can see, look at it's so much fire.
Yeah.
The thing is with full fire burns is there's a lot of prep that goes into it. It's not just, hey, let's pour some gas on this guy and light him on fire. No, there are layers and layers and layers that go into this, from choreography to what we have on to the type of protective gel that's on the clothing, that's on our skin. There's 8 of us being burned here on camera, but there's 18 fire safety people. Each person had dedicated 2 people on them. If anything were to go wrong, I just drop down and one of the, or both of those 2 people come over to me and assess the situation.
Those flamethrowers put out a ton of heat too. It's like, outside just, oh, you're lit on fire, it's like you're also engulfed in that inferno.
And so you look at where Leo is standing, and he did all of these. He had a double, but he was in all of this. The heat all comes up, so it's even hotter where he is than where we are.
You can see him really leaning back as
Yeah.
the shot gets going and the heat gets up there. I'm always extremely impressed by the amount of engineering that goes into each moment. And I feel like a lot of people, their perception of stunts is that it's Daredevils, right? It's Evel Knievel. But in my experience for film, there's a certain element of risk, but it's
very
not
calculated.
Daredevils. Yeah, it's
very
engineering,
calculated.
it's problem solving, it's still performance.
We take risks, but they're calculated risks.
Calculate risk takers. That's what I was told by Holland Diaz, that's what stunt people are, calculated risk takers.
Yeah.
We're not Daredevils. We're not Evel Knievel jumping the fountains at Caesar's Palace.
Just because we wanted to
Because we needed to prove something. No, we're often given a story and said, hey, can you achieve this? And it's like, yes, how can we achieve this with taking the minimal risks?
I love fire stunts. What are some of the movies, the coolest fire stunts? Please leave some comments down below for some suggestions for us to check out.
Wow. Okay, I'm sweating almost. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Mark. For real. Like, having your 26 years of experience, we barely even touched the surface of what you've done in this career and in this industry. The stuff that we spoke about, I was watching as a kid and inspired me to want to do this. So thank you again for being out here. Where can we, as a fan base, show you love and keep up with you?
Really, the only platform I use is Instagram. My Instagram name is ActionWags, like my last name. I do accept comments. I do communicate with people, so always reach out to me on there.
Thanks for joining us, Mark.
See you next
Thanks for having
time.
me, guys. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mark. Peace.